Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's video we are going to be making this cute little zebra. It is what I consider a no-sew body pattern, which means we are going to start by making the arms and the legs, and then we're going to move on to the top of the head, work our way down, attach the arms as we go, do a bit of the body, attach the eyes, a little bit of stuffing. Then we'll continue on, attach the legs, stuff, and close. And then we will have to sew on the ears and any little bits of embroidery and the hair that we want to do. For this video, we will be using a number 4 medium weight yarn, a 4.25 millimeter hook, and 14 millimeter safety eyes. This is a crochet along, so I will be doing every stitch with you, and I am also providing a drop down at the top of the screen with the pattern instructions for the first 30 seconds of every row for you to follow along with. And if you enjoy this video, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell. Not only does that help me out, but you will also be notified every time I load a new video, as well as any likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. Okay, I think that's everything. So grab your yarn and let's get started. All right, we're going to start on the arms and the legs, and rows 1 to 18 are going to be exactly the same. And we are going to stop there for 2 for the legs. And then for the other 2, we are going to do a couple extra crochets for the arms. And when we get there, I will have instructions written up along the top to remind you. Okay, you can begin any way you prefer, as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be making a knot with the loop on the end as if I was making a chain. Insert my hook, grab my yarn, pull up and chain 1. And remember, that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, going over top of our tail, we are going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then pull that tail if you need to close that hole. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one, and for row 2 we're going to do 6 increases, so that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 12. So increase 1 and 2 in the same stitch, increase 3 and 4, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, and our last increase 11 and 12. Row 3, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that pattern all the way around for a total of 18. So single crochet for 1, increase for 2 and 3, and then repeat that around. Single crochet, 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, and our last increase, 17, whoopsie, and 18. Row 4, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. So 1 single crochet for 1, single crochet for 2, and an increase, 3 and 4, and repeat that around, 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, and our last increase, 23 and 24. Now for our next row, this part is very important. We're going to be going in the front loops, and you need to make sure you're going in the front loops because our next row will be going in the back loops of this same row. So for the front loops, instead of going through under both sides of that V, you're going to come down and come up through the V. So that is your front loop. And then when we're on our next row, we're going to have a line of stitches and we'll be going down between the V and out the back loop. All right. So for the front loop, row 5, we are going to do 24 single crochets in the front loop all the way around. So go under, up, through that stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if you just want to check that you're doing it right, you're now going to have a little line of stitches on this side for your next row. So continue on in the front loops only. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and then we are going to slip stitch into the next stitch. So this is our first front loop stitch, just to make that look a little neater. Then we're going to chain 1. Now we want to fold this front loop row down so that we can access these back loops, and we're going to be starting in this first stitch right here. So for row 6, we're going to be doing 24 single crochets in these back loops of our previous row. So 1, 2, 3, and remember, if you fold that last row you did down, it'll be a lot easier to see these little bumps. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And if for some reason you aren't on 24, you can either add a stitch or decrease. Just make sure you have 24 stitches in this row. Now I'm going to move my stitch marker up now because we're going to be crocheting back to the regular way now. And make sure you're going in the same row you just finished. And also remember you had a chain 1 here. So you want to make sure you go past that chain 1 and behind your first single crochet that you did. And for row 7, we're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1, 2, and a decrease for 3, 4, 5, and a decrease for 6, 7, 8, and whoop, we got a mess here, and a decrease for 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, and a decrease for 15, 16, 17, and our last decrease for 18. So it should look like this now. Row 8, we are going to do 18 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Row 9, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. So 1 decrease for 2, 3, decrease for 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, decrease for 10, 11, and our last decrease, we're going to go in and grab our yarn 2 times there, leaving those 3 loops on the hook. And now we're going to change color. And don't cut this off because we're going to carry it up as we go. All right, so I'm grabbing my other color, and all I'm going to do is tie that nice and tight, as close to the hook as I can, 2 or 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. Then you're going to grab that new color and you're going to pull it through those 3 loops to finish off the last decrease of the previous row. Okay, row 10, we are just going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 11, we're just going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and now on our 12th one we need to change color for our stripes. We're going to insert our yarn and pull up, so we've got the 2 loops on our hook. Then you're going to grab your striping color, assuming it's the same as your foot. Otherwise you're going to have to attach a new color. And then you're just going to pull that through, finish off that stitch, pull that tight if you need to. And row 12, now we're going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and on our 12th one again, now we're going to grab our white, drop our black or our gray or whatever color we're using for stripes, pull that through, tighten that up if you need to. Row 13, 12 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 14, 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and on our 12th one we're going to change color again. So pull up your 2 loops, grab your striping color, pull that through your last stitch, pull that tight if you need to. Row 15, 12 single crochets, whoops, all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and our 12th one, we're just going to grab our 2 loops because we're going to change color again. We're dropping our stripe color, grabbing our main color, pulling that through to finish off that stitch. Tighten it up if you need to. Row 16, 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 17, 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and now on our 12th one we're going to change color again, so pull up so you have 2 loops, and this time we are done with the the white or the main color. So I'm just going to cut that off, and I'm going to tie my striping color to my main color nice and tight, as close to that hook as you can, 2 or 3 times. And then pull that through to finish off the stitch of the last row. Row 18, 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we just finished row 18. So if you're doing your 2 legs right now, you're going to stop here, skip the next little piece of the next row, and continue on. And if you're doing your 2 arms, what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 more single crochets across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then now you're going to stop, and then we'll all go back to the same stuffing instructions. All right, so grab yourself about a handful of stuffing. I like to separate mine so I can do it in little batches. I'm going to take out my stitch marker, and then we're just going to shove that down into the bottom of the foot. So I'm going to kind of try and keep the foot flat by using the palm of my hand, and then kind of scooch out to all the sides. So I'm just kind of pushing it out to all the corners. Add a little bit more. When you feel like that's firm enough, then we're just going to add a little bit up into the top. So not quite as firm as you have the foot, and then you don't want to stuff the top 2 rows. And that will give us room to close that down so it's a bit of a triangle shape. So it'll come around the body, or if it's the leg, it'll come, won't push your little guy over. So once you're happy with how much stuffing you have, you're going to reinsert your hook. And you're going to go in the next stitch, and then you're going to turn it so that you're going in the last stitch. It's going to look like this, and we're going to do 5 single crochets across. 1, 2, make sure you're going through both the front and the back. 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to tie that off, leaving yourself a little bit of a tail. Because even though we're not sewing these on, I do something with all the tails to make them a little bit more secure. Whoop. So if you have just finished your first one, I'll be leaving a screenshot over in the next frame with a timestamp so you can go back and do the rest of your arms and legs. And if you are finished all 4, just keep on watching and we'll move on to the next part. But before I leave you, I'm just going to remind you, do something to mark one of your pairs. So these are my legs. So all I did was tie them together with a scrap piece of yarn so I know when I go to attach them, my legs are the ones with the pink thread. All right, now we are going to start on the head, and again, you can begin any way you prefer as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be doing my knot with the loop on the end as if I was making a chain. Insert my hook, grab my yarn and pull up and chain 1. And remember, that does not count as a stitch. That's just attaching our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, going over top of the tail, we are going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then pull your tail to close that hole if you need to. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, we are going to do 6 increases. So that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 12. So increase 1 and 2, increase 3 and 4, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, and our last increase 11 and 12. Row 3, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. 1, increase, 2 and 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, and our last increase, 17 and 18. Row 4, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. 1, 2, increase, 3 and 4, 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, and our last increase, we're going to do 23, and on 24, we're going to grab our yarn and pull up and leave those 2 loops because we're going to start the stripes on the head now. Don't cut your white. Grab your striping color, and we're going to tie that nice and tight, as close to the hook as we can get it. And I'll just say, the one thing I told myself I was never ever going to do is change colors in a row on a video. So we'll see how this goes. I'm going to go nice and slow. And I'm going to break this row apart across the top for you. And let's just see how it goes. So let's finish off this last row by pulling it through our last 2 loops. So there is quite a few ways that you can carry your yarn if you have to change colors in a row, and you can do it any way you prefer. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be dropping the color I'm not using, and then about every 5 or 6 stitches I'm going to pick that yarn up, let it just loosely sit along the back of my work, and then I'm going to crochet around it, and then I'm going to drop it back down. Okay, so for row 5, we're going to start with 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do 1 increase. And then we're going to do 2 single crochets, but on our second one, we're going to change colors. So 1, and then insert your hook and grab your yarn and pull up. And we're going to grab our other color, drop the color we were using. Make sure that's loose along the back and not tight. And then you're going to grab that color and pull it through to finish off that stitch. You may have to pull on your other color to tighten that stitch up. Now we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, and 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and on our third one we're just going to go in and pull up because we're going to change colors again. So we're going to drop the color we are using, grab our other color. Again, we want it nice and loose along the back, not tight. And then you're going to pull that color through to finish off that stitch. Pull that tight if you need to. Now we're going to do 1 increase, three single crochets, and 1 increase. Grab your yarn, and we're just going to loosely bring it up the back, and we're going to go over top of this one. We're going to do 1 single crochet over top of our other yarn, drop our yarn, and then do 2 more single crochets. And then now we're going to do an increase. Grab that white yarn again. Single crochet over top. Make sure it's nice and loose back here on the back side. We're going to do our 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. But we're going to be changing our color on the last one. We're just going to pull up and leave those 2 loops on the hook. Grab our white. And pull through. Tighten that if you need to. And then we'll just have a look on the back so you can see what mine looks like. Yours should look the same. So these are just loosely around the back. And you can see where your stitches or color change picked up or carried that piece. Okay, row 6, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 increase. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, and an increase, 5 and 6. Repeat that around. 7, 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, increase, 29 and 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and our last increase, 35 and 36. Row 7, we are going to do 5 single crochets, 1 increase. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 42. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase, 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, increase, 13 and 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, increase, 20 and 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, increase, 27 and 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, increase, 34 and 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and our last increase, 41, and on our 42nd, we're going to grab our yarn and pull up. So we're going to change to our other color now. We'll grab that and just pull through to finish off that stitch. Tighten it if you need to. Row 8, we are going to start off by doing 9 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we got to pick up our color and carry it along the back. So we are just going to grab that nice and loosely, crochet over it one time. So that's 6. Drop that color. 7, 8, and on our 9th stitch we're going to change colors, so grab that color again, drop your old color, and we're just going to loosely pull that through. Make sure that's nice and loose and not tight. And now we're going to do 11 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and grab our other colors so we can carry that along the back nice and loose. Go over it one time. 6, drop that color. 7, 8, 9, 10, and on our 11th stitch we're going to change color, so just grab up your 2 loops, pick up your old color, drop the color you were just using, and again loosely against the back, pull that through and finish off that stitch. Pull it tight if you need to. And now we're going to do 22 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Grab your color and carry that along the back nice and loose. Go over it one time. 6. Drop that color. 7, 8, 9, 10. Pick up that other color again. Crochet around. 11. Drop that color. 12, 13, 14, 15. Grab that color again to carry it around. Your 16th stitch is going to go around it. Drop. 7 or 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and on 22 we're going to change colors. So again, grab that other color loosely along the back and pull that through to finish off that last stitch. Oh, and if you want to just see what the back looks like, row 9, we're just going to do 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 10, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, and on our 42nd stitch we are going to just hang tight because we got to change back to our other color. So row 11, we're going to start off with 10 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to pick up our white so we can carry that along. Nice and loosely, remember, along the back. I'm going to go around that yarn for stitch number 6. Drop it. 7, 8, 9, and on our 10th stitch we're going to stop with the 2 loops on because we're going to change color. Gosh, I hope I'm not making this look as confusing as it's feeling and awkward. Now we're going to do 11 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Grab our other yarn so we can carry it across nice and loosely across the back. Do our 6 single crochet around it, drop it, 7, 8, 9, 10, and on our 11th stitch we're going to leave the 2 loops on our hook so we can carry change our color. Don't forget, see how you'll have to sometimes tighten that stitch down. Now we're going to do 21 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Carry your yarn over. Stitch 6, drop it, 7, 8, 9, 10, carry your yarn. So we're going over top for 11, drop it, 12, 13, 14, 15, carry your yarn loosely across the back, go around it, 16, drop it, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. And we're going to change colors, so leave the 2 loops on your hook, grab your other color, and pull that through. Tighten up those stitches if you need to. Row 12, we are going to do 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 13, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. And on our 42nd stitch, we're going to change color. So let's drop our old color and grab our new color. Whoops. And then pull that tight if you need to. Okay, this is our last color changes in the row. And then we should breeze through the rest after this. All right, row 14, we're going to start with 11 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Grab your yarn so you can carry it over. Stitch over it. 6. Drop it. 7, 8, 9, 10, and on our 11th stitch we're going to change color. Pull that through. Can't find it. There it is. Now we're going to do 11 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Grab our yarn and carry it over. 6. Drop it. 7, 8, 9, 10, and on our 11th stitch we are going to change colors. So grab our new color, pull it through, tighten that stitch if you have to. All right, and now 20 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, carry our yarn, 6, drop our yarn, 7, 8, 9, 10, carry our yarn, 11, drop our yarn, 12, 13, 14, 15, carry our yarn, 16, drop our yarn, 17, 18, 19, and on our 20th stitch, grab our yarn, leave the 2 loops, and change colors. So we're back to white now. Pull that tight if you need to. Row 15, we are going to do 5 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease for 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and a decrease for 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and a decrease for 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and a decrease for 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and a decrease for 36. Row 16, we're going to do 4 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, decrease for 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, decrease for 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, decrease for 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and our last decrease, we're going to go in and pull up twice and then leave those 3 loops on the hook. Then we're going to grab our stripe color, pull that through to finish off that decrease. Pull that tight if you need to. Row 17, we're going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. 1, 2, 3, decrease for 4, 5, 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, decrease for 16, 17, 18, 19, decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, and a decrease for 24, but we're not going to finish because we're going to change back to white again. Pull that through to finish off that last decrease. Tighten it if you need to. Row 18, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. 1, 2, decrease for 3, 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, 8, decrease for 9, 10, 11, decrease for 12, 13, 14, decrease for 15, 16, 17, and a decrease for 18. All right, our next row is going to be our arm row. So get those ready. And if for some reason you forgot to mark the arms and the legs, there is one way you can tell. So this is going to be the front of our arm. And if you look down even with the back, you'll see that little divot and chain 1 where you switch from front loop to back loop. So that's on the back and your strings on the front. Okay, I'm going to change camera angles so you can see it a little better, and I will meet you back here when I get all organized. All right, the arm row, row 19, we are going to start with 2 single crochets. 1, 2, then you're going to grab your arm, and remember that where your stitch marker is the back of your head, this is the front of your head. You want to have your strings facing the front so that we have that divot in the back. And we are going to do 5 single crochets through the arm and through the next stitch of the head. So through the arm, through the next stitch of the head, that's 1, through the arm, through the next stitch of the head, that's 2, through the arm, through the next stitch of the head, that's 3, through the arm, through the next stitch of the head, that's 4, and through the arm, and through the next stitch of the head, that's 5. And now we are going to do 4 single crochets across, and make sure you're going in the next stitch and not the same one, because it's very easy to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're going to grab the other arm, and again, remembering which is the front and which is the back, you want the arm strings facing the front. And we're going to do 5 single crochets through the arm and through the next stitch of the head. So that's 1, through the arm, through the next stitch of the head, that's 2, through the arm, through the next stitch of the head, that's 3, through the arm, through the next stitch of the head, that's 4, through the arm, through the next stitch of the head, that's 5, and then now we should have 2 single crochets left, so that's 1, and then on our second one we are just going to go in and pull up because we're going to change our color. So grab that other color, pull it through those 2 loops, tighten up that white stitch if you need to. Row 20, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. So 1, 2, and an increase, 3 and 4. And repeat that around. 5, 6, increase, 7, and 8. And as you're going around these arm strings, make sure you keep them on the outside. That's where we'll need them for later. 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, and our last increase, we're going to do our first one, 23, and on our second one, we're going to grab and pull up because we're going to switch back to our white. So pull that through and finish off that stitch. Row 21, we are going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 22, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. 1, 2, 3, increase, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, increase, 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, and our last increase, 29, and then we're going to change color on 30 here. So grab your other color and pull that through to finish off that last stitch. Row 23, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, increase, 29 and 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and our last increase, 35, and on 36 we're going to just pull up our loops because we're going to change color again. So pull that through to finish off your last stitch. Tighten that if you need to. Row 24, we are just going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Row 25, 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and on our 36th one, I'm going to pull up our 2 loops and change colors. So pull that through to finish off the stitch. Pull that tight if you need to. Row 26, we are just going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36. We're going to grab our yarn and pull up because again we'll be changing color. Pull that tight if you need to. Row 27, 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Row 28, 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36. We're just going to pull up our 2 loops because we're going to change our color now. Grab that, pull through to finish off that last stitch. Row 29, 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and on our 36th row we're going to change our colors, but I am done with black. You can keep on going if you want, but I didn't really think it even made a difference if you could see it, so this is where I stopped. So I'm going to cut my stripe color, tie that to my main color, nice and tight, as close to the hook as you can get it, and then pull that through to finish off that last stitch. And then I'm just going to take my hook out because we're going to do a couple things here. Now that we're this far along, we're going to add the eyes and do a little bit of stuffing of the head. So you want to get that stuff ready. All right, you are going to find your very first row. That's going to be row 1 where you first started. And we are going to count down between rows 9 and 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and between rows 9 and 10, you're just going to put that pin. So right now you're just finding your row, flatten your little guy out, and just kind of see where center is. And you can use your arms, or in this instance, we're lucky enough we can actually use the stripes. So I'm just going to go down a row, evenly count over, and then that's my center stitch right there. So I just lucked out and happened to go in the right stitch. So make sure you're in the center of your head. And then we are going to count over 3 holes from the pin. So 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go in that 3rd stitch. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Our pin is in that hole right there. 1, 2, 3, and then go in that 3rd hole, and then just have a look if they seem even to you. And to me, I feel like I need to go over 1 more on this side if I'm going to match them up with the stripes. So I'm just going to go over 1 more. And that looks good now to me. So when you're happy with your eye placement, you are going to stick your thumb on the front of the eye. Then you're going to push that up out through the neck so you have easy access to the post. Stick your back on and then just give it a squeeze. And then do the same thing on the other eye. Thumb on the front of the eye, push it up through the neck. Grab your back. And then we'll add a little bit of stuffing now. And I'm only going to be stuffing the head so that I have room to work with in my camera view. But if you want to go and stuff into the body a little bit, you can. So I want to make sure that I have a lot of stuffing in the head. We want that to be nice and firm, and I'm holding around the neck to help protect those stitches from stretching. And then I'm pushing it up high into the top of the head, kind of around the backs of the eyes so I don't twist those. And then once I have it mostly stuffed, I kind of go to each side a bit. So I went to that side, now I'm going to come to this side, And just where you feel a bit of a hole, that's where you're going to be stuffing up into. So I'm pretty close here. I need a little bit more right here I can feel. But do be careful that you're not stretching your stitches open as you're doing this. All right, I think that's pretty good. Oh, maybe a little more here. Oh yeah, there's a little hole right there. All right, and when I stuff mine, I stuff right to the neck opening, and then I don't put any stuffing in the neck. My necks are wide enough that they're not going to be floppy. So if you're following any of my patterns, you don't need to put a bunch of stuffing in the neck. And then just make sure it's nice and round. And when you do stuff the body, you're just going to stuff it up to the neck there instead of inside the neck. Okay, so let's get our hook back in. And for row 30, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a decrease for 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and a decrease for 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and a decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and a decrease for 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and a decrease for 30. Row 31, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. So 1, 2, 3, and a decrease for 4, 5, 6, 7, and a decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, and a decrease for 16, 17, 18, 19, and a decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, and a decrease for 24. Now we're going to get our legs, so get them ready. And if you remember, I tied mine up, so I knew which ones were which. And we are going to start with 8 single crochets across. And remember, if you're left-handed, you may be doing this whole row backwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you should be right in the middle of your arm row somewhere. Now you're going to grab one of your legs. Now you should have your strings facing this way, but just to double check, you want to make sure that little divot where you did your front loop, back loop, and your chain is facing away from the body, because this is the front of the foot and you want the front of the foot facing the body because he's upside down, and when we turn him around we want it to be the right way. And now we are going to do 5 single crochets through the leg and through the next stitch of the body. So through the leg, through the next stitch of the body, that's 1, through the leg, and the next stitch of the body, that's 2, through the leg, and the next stitch of the body, that's 3, through the leg, through the next stitch of the body, that's 4, and through the leg, and the next stitch of the body, that's 5. Now swing those tails to the inside, and now we're going to do 2 single crochets across. So 1, 2. Now grab your other leg, and remember again, you want this divot and the chain 1 facing you, so the front of the foot is facing the body. Your string should be on this side, but if you're doing it a little different, it might not be. And again, we're going to do 5 single crochets through the leg and the next stitch of the body. So that's 1, through the leg, through the next stitch of the body, that's 2, through the leg, through the next stitch of the body, that's 3, through the leg, through the next stitch of the body, that's 4, and through the leg, and the next stitch of the body, that's 5. And now you should have 4 single crochets left, unless you had to adjust on this side, and it'll just be a whatever adds up to 12. So say you had 4 on this side, you'll need 8 on this side. Whoops, and let's flip our string back in there. Almost forgot it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's just tie those together now, so they're not in our way. And we're just going to loosely tie both of the leg tails nice and loosely against the edge of your body. You don't want to tie them too tight, because then it'll squish your legs together. So loose and then slowly tighten. Trim those. Now we only have 3 rows left, so if you need to, start adding some stuffing. So I'm just going to lightly add some stuffing, and then I'll add a little bit more once I get closer to the end. For row 33, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that around for a total of 18. So 1, 2, and a decrease for 3, 4, 5, and a decrease, whoop, try not to catch your stuffing, for 6, 7, 8, and a decrease for 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, and a decrease for 15, 16, 17, and a decrease for 18. Row 34, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. So 1, decrease for 2, 3, decrease for 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, decrease for 10, 11, and our last decrease for 12. Now we just have our 1 row left, so if you need to add any more stuffing, this is where you're going to want to do it. And what I like to do is get my fingers down in the center, and I'm just pushing all the stuffing out to the side so that I can just take whatever stuffing I have I want to put in, and I just kind of stick it down into the hole I just made. So maybe a little bit more. Just remember, you want the bottom to be flat so we can sit on it. So you can also kind of push out the back of the bum a bit so it's a bit more of an oval shape instead of round. I'm just going to put a little bit more down into the back there. Probably should flip it over just to double check. See how round mine's getting? So I'm just going to squish it down a bit. We want the body to be a bit more on the longer side, but the flat bottom. So I think I'm pretty good here. Got my yarn all twisted. And now row 35, we're just going to do 6 decreases. I can't reach that yarn. 1 decrease, 2 decreases, 3 decreases, 4 decreases. Whoop, hot stuffing. 5 decreases and 6 decreases. And then you're just going to slip stitch over into the next stitch and tie off. Leave yourself a bit of a tail for sewing it closed. I'm going to take my stitch marker out. I don't need that anymore. Oops. There, that was a rough one. Then let's grab our darning needle. We'll thread on our end. And then all we're going to do is weave in and out of these top loops to close it up. So I'm going to go, I always go down first because I feel like that brings that little tie-off knot in. And then just up and down through the stitches. Then when you get all the way back around, you're just going to give that a pull. And if you are using plush yarn, I recommend doing 3, pulling it, and then doing 3 or 2, whichever it ends up being. Then you're not pulling through all the stitches at one time, because that plush yarn does break easily, and there's nothing worse than getting right here, giving it a tie or a pull, and your yarn snapping on you. If that does happen though, what I do is I'll unravel it a row or two, and then just like I'm making a color change, I'll knot another chunk of yarn on and then finish it off. And that's a really easy way to kind of fix it, because you'll never have enough yarn to close it up otherwise. Then we'll just cut that off. And now we're going to do these arm strings. So we're going to thread those on. Doesn't matter which one, we're doing them both exactly the same way. And what you're going to do is you're going to come down right in the stitch, your last stitch where your knot is, and you're just going to go into that stitch. And you're going to come out the back center somewhere around the neck. Just let that hang there for a minute, and then we'll do the other side. So again, I wasn't really watching the camera, so if you didn't see that really good, we've got our knot where we ended our arm and attached our arm, and you're just going to go down into that stitch. So I went on the black, so I'm going to make sure I'm going on the black on this one. Then come out the same stitch you brought the other yarn out through. Now keep track of these 2 pieces of yarn. You want to know which belongs to which arm. And you're going to give them one tie. And then you're going to wrap them around the neck, flip your guy around. And now you're going to give them a pull, and it's going to bring these knots to the inside and your arms forward a little bit. So just pulling them till you're happy with the placement of the arms. I think I'm okay there. Remember, they will relax a little bit over time. So if you do it too much, you should still be okay. Then I'm just going to tie those a couple of times to secure them. Rethread my yarn, and then just take those ends to the inside somewhere, and we'll give them a cut. All right, now we're going to do the muzzle, and we're going to be making a chain, so you are going to have to make some kind of knot with a loop on the end. So whatever you prefer, but if you want to do it my way, I fold my yarn in half. So I'm going to pinch up at the top, wrap it around my finger, bring that loop down, around, and through, and then I just pinch the top of that loop, and I slide my knot up to whatever size a little loop I want. So I want a fairly small one for chaining. Then I'm going to insert my hook, and we're going to chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now starting in the second chain from the hook, so this is the loop on your hook, it does not count. This is your first chain, this is your second chain. So we're going to be starting in that second chain. We're going to do 1 single crochet for the end. Then we're going to do 4 single crochets across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in this very end stitch we're going to do 3 single crochets, and we're going to turn to the other side of our chain as we go. So 1, 2 in that same stitch, and see how I'm pivoting it around. Turn it a little bit more, and 3, all in that same end. And now we're going to do 4 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to do 2 stitches in this end. So 1 and 2 in the same stitch. So you should have something that looks like this. I'm going to grab a stitch marker because I need to know where I am sometimes when I'm going around, and this is going to be your first stitch right here of your next row. And we're going to do an increase. So for row 2, 1 increase on the end. Then we're going to do 4 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're going to do 3 increases around the end. So 1 increase, 2 increases, and I'm turning as I'm going, and 3 increases. That gets us around to the other side. Now we're going to do 4 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to do 2 increases on this end. So increase, that's once, an increase, that's twice. So now it should look like this. Row 3, we're just going to do 20 single crochets all the way around. So make sure you're starting in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, oops, I keep hitting my extra light, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and on our 20th stitch we're going to change color. So it'll be my base color, so that's white. I'm going to cut this color off because I am done with it. Grab my new color. And just like before, we're going to tie that on nice and tight, as close to the hook as you can get it. And then you're going to pull that through to finish off that last stitch. All right, row 4, 20 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm going to shut this light off. It's too bright on the white. Okay. And row 5, 20 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then we're just going to slip stitch into the next stitch and tie that off. Leave enough of a tail to sew that on. So what I like to do is when it's still doubled, I'll wrap it around so I got more than enough, and then I still give myself a little bit extra. All right, so I'm going to take our stitch marker out of that. Now you're going to grab a little bit of your stuffing. And you just want to fill the bottom so it's flat across the top. You can always add a little bit of stuffing before you finish sewing this on if you don't have enough. But it is a little easier to add if you don't have too much stuffing in there. So see, it's nice and flat across. And then we are just gonna line it up. Actually, for some reason I like to sew on this side. So flip it around. We're just gonna line it up centered just underneath where our eyes meet. So we put our eyes in this row, and I'm just one row down. And just get it centered. Then you're going to grab your pins. And what I like to do is pin the 3 stitches on the top here in that same row that we're lining it up with. Then I'm going to lay it down. And just wherever it falls naturally, I'm going to put my pins in. So I'm about the 3rd row, or the 1 stripe. I'm just going to pin it down there. So I do middle, side, side. Just have a quick look that you're happy with it. And then if you are, you can start pinning on the sides. Generally, the side of my mouth seems to go kind of like even with the outside of the eye. So that is a good way to line it up. Being the zebra, you can also use the stripes here to see if you're about the same amount of stitches. And I'm just doing that. I think I'm gonna have to pin his arms down. So one thing I learned by accident or brilliance, I'm not sure, is if you take a little elastic and wrap it around your guy's arms, they're not gonna flop around and be in your way when you're sewing stuff on. There we go. Poor little guy. It's only temporary. Okay, just keep double checking that your nose is centered and then add the last of your pins. So I'm going in about every other stitch, sometimes every stitch. The more pins you have, the less it's going to move around on you. So if you're one who lines up your parts to sew them on, and then you get finished and find they've twisted on you and they're crooked, just keep adding more pins. It's a lot easier to add a couple more pins than it is to have to take your whole nose off and redo it. All right, so there we go. See, that's not going anywhere. All right, let's thread our needle on now. And what we're going to do to begin is we're going to go right alongside where our tie-off knot was, and we're going to go down in the stitch underneath of it in the head, go around the row, come up, and then we're going to go up the very next stitch on the muzzle. Go down the next stitch of the muzzle, catch a chunk of the head, and then go around that stitch and come up, and make sure you're staying underneath the muzzle. It doesn't matter so much right now when we're doing the same colors, but if you were doing two different colors, you don't want to see your stitches. Then you're going to come up the next stitch of the muzzle. Go down, catch a chunk of that row in the head, come up, go up the next stitch, and you're just going to do that all the way around. So down, catch a piece of the head, around the stitch and up. And while I'm going around here, I'm just going to mention I do have a craft page on Facebook. If you ever want to share anything you've ever made with me, You can go on there, find a post, and comment or leave a photo. I usually will see it within a day or two and reply. I do also have TikTok and Instagram, but I'm never on there. And if I do happen to be there, it's because I'm loading a video, and I load the video and then I pretty much get off of it. So when I get up here, I'm just going to go right across in this one row that we lined our whole mouth up with. And that will help keep that straight across. And also keep care when you're at the corners. So I went in these 2 stitches just under the eye. So I want to make sure I do the same thing when I go to this side of the eye. That's usually where you'll run into a problem, or it's most noticeable. And we're almost at the end here. So if you need to add a little bit of stuffing, take out your pins, add your stuffing, and then continue on. But I think I have enough stuffing in mind, so I'm just gonna keep on going. All right, there's my starting knot. So I'm going to come down and around and just pass the knot. And I'm going to come back up where the knot was. So here's the knot. I don't know if you can see in this. So here's the knot. Here's my stitch before the knot. I'm just going to go in that stitch, and that will kind of bring over, you know, when you go in the round, it's just a little bit uneven. So that'll kind of help even up that part of the muzzle. And I mean, you don't really notice it much on this one, but sometimes you can really tell the difference. And then I'm just going to find a stitch down underneath the muzzle that I already sewed on. So not any of my parts, but one of my first stitches. So right there. So one of my stitches for sewing it on. And that just leaves a little bit tighter of a stitch to grab onto. Tie that nice and tight. And then you're just going to go down that same spot and out the back somewhere. And I give mine a good pull just in case I didn't get that knot in there good. And then we'll give it a cut. So since we just made ourselves a little scrap piece of yarn, we might as well use it now to bring the eyes in. So you're going to start in the center somewhere between the eyes. Then you're going to come up in the center of the eye, or where you put your eye post in when you added your eyes. I go around my eyes now, so I feel like it pulls them a little better instead of stretching the stitches. If you have crocheted your own eyes, you'll go in like we just did, but instead of going around the eye, you'll just go down and over a stitch. Now we're going to go over to the other side, and we're going to match this stitch with this stitch. Go around this eye. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not as easy. Come back in right on the center where you started on this side, and you're going to come out where your yarn is. So basically you're going in, around the eye, back in, and then doing the same thing on the other side. Then we are just going to tie this one time. And you're just going to pull it gently and kind of push your eyes down and where you want them. Just be careful. If you get them too close, he will look a little bit cross-eyed. So I think that's good enough for me. I'm just giving it a couple more ties, and then I'm going to put the ends out, going through that same hole. Maybe I got that too high. There, try that. Okay. And then just out the back somewhere. Give that a cut. Then you may have to come back here and just push these stitches back together a little bit if you stretch them. Now grab whatever color you want to use for your nostrils. Thread that on, and we are going to be going on either side of our beginning chain. So here is one end of our chain. Here is the other end of our chain. And we're going to go in the stitches above and below that. So between rows 1 and 2. On the very ends to make our nostrils. And the easiest way for me is to start in the top stitch, and you'll have half your yarn on one side and half on the other. So a generous amount on each side. And then you're just going to skip down around that first chaining row and down to the next. And all I'm going to do is go around about 3 times. Or did I go twice? I think I went twice on this one, so let's go twice. And on your second one, you're just going to come out the bottom somewhere. Then you're going to thread on your other side and do exactly the same thing. So you're going around that whole row 1 and straight down into between rows 1 and 2. And I went this way, so I want to make sure I'm going that way on this side, from the inside to the outside. So that's once, and then I'm going to come back down, go out where I started. Or not where I started, where I took my other end through. Just kind of play around with them a bit till they're even. And then we will tie them lightly. And then a little tighter as we go. Actually, that's good enough. Thread your ends back on. And then go in that same hole you came out of and out somewhere. And this time when you're pulling this one, you don't want to tighten these up. So you want to gently pull that back. And what I do is I just kind of pull till I get that knot through. And then as soon as it's through, I'm just going to fix my stitches a bit, hide those strings, and then cut this without pulling. And then if it leaves a little piece of thread, all you're going to do is come along beside with your hook and then just sweep across the back, and that'll get rid of that. All right, if you're adding eyebrows, we'll do that now. So I'm grabbing black so it shows up a little better. And what you're going to do is you're just going to come up one row from the eye on the inside. You're going to match that on the other side. Pull half your thread through so you have about, I don't know, about that much on either side, just enough for you to go around, and then tie it. And I'm just going to go right here, just on the inside of the eye and one row down from where I started. And then I'm just going to come up in the middle somewhere so I can tie that. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going down a row and just to the inside, or sorry, the outside of the eye. And then bring it up and pull these gently. You don't want to get them too tight, just like the nostrils. If they are uneven, you can pull one a little bit till it's about the same length. And then you're going to lightly tie them. Go a little tighter as you go. And then rethread, and we'll put those gently out the back. Whoop. So right in that hole, out the back, and remember, pull them gently, just like we did the nose or the nostrils. If you're doing yours in any other color than white, you can add little eye accents, but I tried it and it does not, you can't see them. Pull your stitches around so you can't see that knot. Cut this without pulling it. And then just swoop your end out of the way. And now we're going to do the ear. And you, again, can begin any way you prefer as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be doing my knot with the loop on the end. Insert my hook, grab my yarn and pull up and chain 1. And remember, as always, that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, going over top of the tail, we are going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then pull that tail if you need to close up that hole. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that around for a total of 9. So 1 increase, 2 and 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, and our last increase, 8 and 9. Row 3, we're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. 1, 2, increase, 3 and 4, 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, and our last increase, we're going to do 11. And on our 12th stitch, we're going to change colors, so we're just going to bring those 2 loops up. You don't need this color anymore unless you want to try striping it. So I've done this so many times, but these are the only ears I have left. But this is what it looked like if I striped it. But the way I put my ears on is one goes this way and the other goes this way. And you will see these steps on the ear unless you want to figure out how to change color on the other side. Alright, so I'm going to be cutting mine. Oh, I just about cut my frog's leg off there, I think. And we're just going to tie that on nice and tight, as close to the hook as you can get it. Two or three times. And then you're going to pull that new color through the 2 loops to finish off that stitch. Alright, row 4, we're going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that around for a total of 15. 1, 2, 3, increase, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, and our last increase, 14 and 15. Row 5, 15 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Row 6, 15 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Row 7, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. 1, 2, 3, decrease for 4, 5, 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12. row 8, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that around for a total of 9. 1, 2, decrease, for 3, 4, 5, decrease, for 6, 7, 8, and a decrease for 9. And then we're just going to fold that in half so that we can close. We're going to go in the next stitch and the last stitch on the other side. Whoop. And we're going to do 4 single crochets across to close that up. 1, 2, 3, and you may have to dig in to get this 4th one. 4. Then tie that off, leaving yourself enough of a tail to sew that on. And if you want to bring your ears in like we did the arms, you'll want a little bit extra there too. So remove your stitch marker. And if you have just finished your first ear, I will be putting a screenshot over in the next frame so you can go back and do your second ear. And if you're done your second ear, just keep on watching and we'll continue on to the next part. All right, now we're going to sew on the ears, and I will be pinning mine to mark where they're going. So what we want to do is we want to find our center starting loop, and we're going to go down in between rows 2 and 3. So we're right here, 1, 2, and in between rows 2 and 3, kind of even with the center. And we're going to do that on the other side as well. So 1, 2, and down in between 2 and 3. Just kind of have a look, see where they're sitting. Do they seem kind of even? And if you're happy with where they are, we're going to count down 4 rows straight down. So where our pin is row 1, 2, 3, and 4. And just kind of going down towards the arms. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Straight down. So where our pin is row 1, 2, 3, 4. So just right in somewhere there. Have a look this way. You can count your stripe stitches if you want. I have about 3 on this side and about 3 or 4 on this side. And you can also add the ears now and have a look if you want. And if you're happy with where they are, you're going to thread one of your ears on. It does not matter which one. And you are going to come in the stitch behind your pin, go around that stitch and come up in the stitch that your pin is in. Now you're just going to kind of go down towards this pin, down a row and around a stitch as we go. So before we do that, we got to go into our ear. So first stitch of our ear, down a row and around the stitch. Into the next stitch of our ear, down a row and around a stitch. Into the next stitch of our ear, down a row and around a stitch. And remember, you're coming behind your pin and going up into the hole that your pin is in. Go into that 4th and last stitch. And I always like to go around one more time because I do pull on this stitch a little bit. And you can either go in this same hole, or you can kind of go up around that one bar of that stitch. So I'm going up here. And then we're just going to tie it in the back. I like to tie again on one of my stitches I use to sew it on, and not on the actual ear, because those stitches are a bit looser. Tie your knot nice and tight. And then we're going to stick that in right where we sewed it on. And then we're going to come out kind of straight across that line in the center of the head somewhere. And you want to make sure you are in a hole. Actually, I'm going to go down here. These look a little nicer. Go down one row there. And then I'm just going to let that hang there for a bit while I do the other ear. So get that threaded on. And same thing. I might be doing mine upside down. We'll see. Upside down or left-handed. So we're going to come behind that pin in that same, in that same row. Around and into that first stitch of the ear. We're going to go down a row and around a stitch. Into that second stitch of the ear. Down a row and around a stitch. Into that third stitch of the ear. And remember, on our fourth one, we got to come behind in that hole behind our pin and come up where our pin is. Into that fourth and last stitch. And if you went around twice, you'll go around twice on this one. And either back in the same hole, or you can go up a little bit like I did on the other one. And then find one of your stitches. And tie your knot. Go in where you tied your knot at, against close to the ear, and then you're going to come out where your other string came out. Keep track of these strings. Give them one tie. Wrap them around the head. And now if you want to make his head kind of shaped a little bit like this and bring the ears down, you're just going to pull those strings. Remember, it will relax a little bit. It just gives it a bit more shape. And then when you're happy with it, you're going to give them a tie. And then you'll rethread those on and put them in the back. So back in that same hole, and then out somewhere. Give it a good pull. Cut. Let's free this guy from his... There we go, that's better. Alright, we might as well do our ears stripes right now too before we get any further. So you're just going to grab a fair sized chunk of yarn. in the matching color to your stripes. We're going to start in the back. We're going to pick a spot where we're going to tie and go in and come out at the end. And I'm just going to come down 2 rows down, 1 or 2 rows. I'm going around a stitch because I want them to be about 3 stitches long. I'm going to hold that in the line of my stitch row, so I want that to follow that line. I'm going to come, so I'm about 3 holes in. Then I'm going to come out, so I have about 3 holes on this side. I'm going to wrap around this ear. Then I got to come in and come down here somewhere. So it will help if you can see this side of your row. So I want it to be there, so I'm in the right spot. You may have to fiddle with these. I actually did these when they weren't attached when I made the pattern, and then I forgot and jumped to sewing them on. Wrap around. And then you're just going to come in that same row and then come over to where you need to tie it. And you do want them to be a bit on the tight side so they don't move around. Ah. And then we got to hide those on the inside of the eye, or the ear, sorry. So if you ever make a second one, do this part before you attach the ears, because it does work out way better. Alright, and then for the other ear, same thing. Start in the back somewhere. Come up about 2 rows down from your black. Go around, go about 2 or 3 stitches this way. And for this one, because we have this step in here, I got to come down instead of straight across. So I still have 2 rows over here. Go around. I'm going to come in on this side. Make sure you're not going through and you're staying like inside the ear. Come down 2 rows for this one. Around, down, over and out. Nope, got to go down, keeping them 2 rows apart. Then go around, and then we're going to come in, making sure we're in the right row, and come out where we started. And again, you can pull these tight now, make sure they're nice and so they won't move. And then we'll tie that. Whoop! That's why you do loose and then tighter and tighter. Now all my stitches are going to be too tight. All right. So thread that end on, and we will put it inside the ear. I actually think when I did the other one, I went up through here, so you couldn't see it, but I guess I'm doing it this way this time. If you wanted to get really creative, you could go up here and give them little fuzzy ends, like cut it so it's like, but I don't know, that would be if you're doing something a little bit different than just the regular zebra. But I I think it might look cute if you were doing something like that, making it a little more alternative. Oh, he's starting to look really cute now. All right, let's do the tail now. And we are going to be making a chain, but we'll leave a little bit of a tail first so we have some room to tie it on. Then make your knot with the loop however you prefer when you're going to make a chain. And we are going to chain 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then starting in the second chain from the hook, we are going to do 5 slip stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and make sure your chain isn't twisting. And then we're going to do 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to tie that off, and again, leave yourself a bit of a tail to tie this on. And then if you're lucky enough to have had a few more scraps left of your accent color, that's all I'm using. I'm taking 4 of my scraps. I don't know what they are, about 4 inches long or so, maybe. The shortest one anyways. And I'm going to trim them all the same size, or approximately. Then we're going to stick our hook into the end stitch of our tail. And you want to try and get 2 pieces of yarn, so instead of 1. I don't know if that zooms in good, but I have 2 there, so it's nice and strong. Then we're going to fold our ends over top of our hook, and we're going to pull them through about halfway. And then you can use your hook to bring them through, but I find sometimes I'll miss one if they're short like this. So I'm just going to stick my fingers through, grab those ends and pull them through, and then tighten them up. And I do go one by one to make sure they're all nice and tight. And it just makes my knot on the tail look a little bit nicer too. And then you can decide where you want to cut those, if you want to make them a little shorter and even. So there's our little tail. Then we better sew this guy on. So just take one of your ends. I'm going to take the right side one with the what I consider the nice side facing up. Thread that on. You're going to go, I like to kind of just sit them down, and then I usually put my tail quite high on the butt. So I'm probably going to be going around here somewhere, which usually is about 8 or 9 stitches up. But if you want to just go by the stripes here, I'm just a little below that stripe. So I'm going to go, you want to make sure it's centered. So I'm going to go about here, and I'm going to come down 1 row and 1 stitch over. And I'm going to pull that tight enough that the knot is on the inside. Then you're going to thread your other end. So I'm at right here in this hole. I'm going to skip one stitch, so one hole, and then I'm going to go in the next one, and I'm going to come out one row below in the same stitch I came out with the other thread. So it's going to look like this. Now I got to pull that knot back in, pull the knot from the other side back in, and then you'll just tie that nice and tight. Whoop. And then out the back or bottom somewhere. Whoop, didn't cut those. All right, we're almost done, guys. So now we just got to do the hair. So I'm just going to quickly show you a couple, and then I will let you do the rest of them on your own. So what I generally do is I take about 3 fingers and I just wrap my yarn around. So I think I did 30. I didn't have near enough, and then I did probably another 30. Pinch it at the top. You're going to cut that down. If you have your yarn here, I just used a scrap, but if your yarn end is here, you'll be cutting that there too. And then you're going to do the same thing like you did on the tail. You're going to come down around a row. You're going to fold one hair, or I guess you could do more if you want. That would make it bushier. Pull it through and up. Then you're going to grab these ends. Whoop. Pull it through that loop, and then give it a little pull to tighten it. And I went about 3 across till, let me just grab him. So I went 3 across till I'm 1 row above the stripe there, and then I went all the way down to just over halfway on the back. Now you could do more, you could do less, you could try something totally different, but that will get you finished and looking like mine. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell. Not only does that help me out, but you will also be notified every time I load a new video, as well as any likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. And I'd also like to send out a great big thank you to anybody that has sent me something, either with the thanks button or through the mail, and are listed at the end of the video as my super thanks friends. And as always, take care, be safe, and happy crocheting.